It's time for the Kentucky Oaks. Let's dive into the race.
Hi, everyone. I'm Matthew DeSantis. I'm joined by my Kentucky Oaks expert colleague, Kaylie Shapiro here, and we are going to be diving into Friday's Kentucky Oaks. But before we get to that, I want to remind you to press that like and subscribe button here on NYRA Bets YouTube today. Subscribing is entirely free of cost, just notifies you when new videos are dropping on the channel, whether those are race previews, full card analyses, handicapping and betting tutorials, weekly programs, specialty shows like this one, and so much more. We got you covered for the Triple Crown, Saratoga, the Breeders' Cup, horse racing in general, I would say. We are your one-stop shop. And we also have a great new promotion. If you log in and have never been on NYRA Bets and you sign up, use the code Derby25, you get up to a $200 deposit match bonus and a free $25 deposit into your account. You can use it to bet on any horse, any race. We're going to talk about one of the races you might want to use that $25 on in the Kentucky Oaks. Kaylie, this is a race you've been following these fillies for 8 months, probably, maybe even longer, almost a year, going back to Saratoga. It's finally here. It is an exciting race.
Yes, I'm so excited. I mean, I think really the horse that I'm most excited to see all weekend is Quietside. I've loved this filly all year. I'm really excited that she's third choice on the morning line, like jumping up and down about it. But I don't really think that she will go off as the third choice, but all I know is that I'm super excited to bet her to win on Friday and to see all the other great fillies and to see them come face to face as well. A lot of them we haven't even seen, face each other. So it's going to be very interesting.
No, it is going to be interesting. You're right. We haven't seen a lot of these fillies face each other. They've really been kind of on their own circuits in a lot of cases. Certainly the top contenders haven't really faced each other at all. Although you could go back a little bit and see some runners have faced each other and cross-pollinated maybe a little bit as 2-year-olds. But yeah, it's going to be very exciting. We're going to dive into the race. But before we talk about these, it is important to talk about the weather. Because it's Louisville, Kentucky or should I say Louisville? Louisville, Kentucky in the springtime. So weather is always a factor. They had rain today. There's going to be rain on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, probably Friday as well, it looks like. And so those track conditions can definitely make some changes.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why I really made sure. I mean, it happened to be that a filly that I really like and that I know you really like as well moves up a little bit when you're handicapping for an off track. And, a couple of others here can handle the slop as well. Like good sheer. I mean, if you're trying, that's not a hole. If you're trying to poke holes in her, the weather is not a reason to. She runs really well in the slop, and same with Quietside off the top of my head, and obviously Bless the Broken. So definitely a couple of them moved up a bit in my mind.
Yeah, no, for sure. You definitely see a few horses that prefer wet conditions, or at least just don't mind them, where they might not advance over a wet track, but they certainly can hold their fast track form. But let's talk about good cheer. Let's start with talking about the favorite, because she is going to be your very strong favorite. She's your 6-5 morning line choice. That is too short of a price for my blood on this horse. But listen, she has literally done nothing wrong. She is undefeated coming into this race, something that she's looking to kind of join Malathat as the last filly who can exit this race still undefeated. And she is an impressive one. And, listen, she, like I said, not done anything wrong and never really been tested.
Yeah, definitely. She's done nothing wrong. She's the deserving morning line favorite. Do I think that she should be this heavy of a favorite? Not really. I don't really think that she has any sort of particular edge, at least in her figures, compared to a lot of these others. I mean, her and Quietside have the same last out buyer of a 91 that was both of their career best. So when you think about it that way, I mean, the potential of her and the fact that we haven't really seen her all out yet is definitely something that sticks out. She clearly is a very nice filly. She's a true standout. I mean, we were there watching all of them train. We were taking a look. I mean, she moves beautifully over that track, and she moves, I mean, great over every track. She's undefeated, but a little bit untested. And definitely, I mean, she draws in the 11 hole. It's definitely some question. She's going to have to be able to get into a good position going into the first turn. I don't think she won the post draw in any which way or form. Do I think that it will be a big issue for her? No, we've seen her get boxed in on the rail and find, room to get around. But also she's meeting with the best of the best.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're going to try to play against her, listen, I haven't played against her all year. Yeah. But if you are going to take a chance, it definitely is in this race. I mean,
I agree. I mean, listen, there's a couple of things to say here. One is, everybody makes a big deal about Tenma, who's a horse we'll talk about in a little bit, and how she's faced short fields. Good Cheer's faced nothing but short fields and really short fields. And so, as many questions as you have about a horse like Journalism, when we talked about in our Derby preview, a deserving favorite, we both think, but also a favorite who's not faced a lot of competition, just in terms of the quantity of horses that have been in those races. And Good Cheer's kind of the same way. She's run against 4 horses, 5 horses. 5 horses again. She doesn't run against big fields, and this is by far and away the most talented group she's seen. You juxtapose that to horses like La Cara or Quietside or even Ballerina Doro. They've faced fuller fields before. They've faced larger company. They've dealt with traffic issues. Now, you mentioned Good Cheer's dealt with some traffic on her own, similar to Journalism, getting caught in a tough spot, even in a short field sometimes. It happens. Now, the other point that I'll bring up is a point that you already alluded to, which is we've not seen her all out. In this regard, she reminds me a little bit of the conversations you and I had last year, not to equate her to this horse, but the conversations we had with Torpedo Anna going into the Travers. We had never really seen Anna ask for her best.
Yeah.
And then when we did, we saw something really special.
Yeah, for sure.
And so it's possible that Good Cheer has another level that she has yet to unlock. But at this point, it's hard to really see it because, yes, she's gotten incrementally faster, but I think she's kind of that 89 to 91 buyer speed figure type of horse at this point.
I mean, before this 91 that she ran, I think that she ran like 3 86s in a row, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely, yeah, she did. She ran 3 86s in a row and 89 in the Rachel, and then she ran a 91. Clearly, she's improved in her last 2 starts, but so has Quietside.
Yeah.
And Quietside is just as deserving to improve when we've seen constant improvement from Quietside, especially when she got a new rider.
Yeah.
That's why I view it as a really big opportunity to play against. I mean, listen, Good Cheer has a really good opportunity to win.
Yes.
There's not many holes you can poke in her, especially that we haven't seen her all out.
Yeah.
But I feel the same way about Quietside. Quietside's not going to be a single on my ticket. I'm going to have Good Cheer on my ticket as well, to keep myself safe.
Yeah.
I mean, those are your 2 likely winners,
how
I view it. I don't view anyone else as being able to win this race besides them 2. That's how strongly I feel about that.
Well, let's dive into that a little bit. And I know you really like Quietside, but maybe before we get to Quietside, let's talk about a horse you and I both dislike, which is La Cara. I don't want to steal your thunder on this because you were the one who kind of pointed it out, but her 2 victories have come gate to wire with easy leads.
Yeah.
That ain't happening on Friday.
Yeah, definitely. Over speed favoring tracks.
Yes.
And I just, their plan is to go right to the lead with her. And they basically said who wants to try to get the lead. But La Cara has 5G right to her outside. I actually happen to think that 5G has a better chance at running well than La Cara, in my opinion. 5G, I've seen her get pressure up, and she's been able to stay up at least for second. She only lost by like a nose when she stretched out and she was up on the lead. She ran just as well, in my opinion. I mean, La Cara, she ran a big race in the Ashland, but my opinion is that that's what they were very focused on that grade 1 Ashland the entire year. They really worked her up to it. That was a big effort. And she just put in a huge work, maybe a little too fast. I don't know.
It's a little bit the Citizen Bull discussion that everybody made a big deal on Monday when Citizen Bull went out and went 48-2. And, she went 46 flat or 46-2? That's like fast work. And I typically don't like to see, I like to see a bullet work sometimes leading into a race, depending on the type of race you're talking about. But that seemed very fast for coming into that. And she's going to have company up on the front end. You mentioned 5G. Simply Joking's no slouch on the inside. That's a fast horse. Anna's Promise has a little bit of speed. And Tenma has got a little bit of speed. And Quietside's going to track that pace from the outside.
Yeah, exactly. Quietside, I mean, she drew very well in this race. She has good speed. And she should be able to get over and at least sit right off of whoever's up front. That's her ideal setup that she needs. I don't even know if she needs that setup. That's, her the most ideal one that she could get.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is La Cara is not going to go up there and not face pressure, even if she does get the lead. It's not going to be an easy or a clear lead.
Yeah.
And she's not even going to be in my top 4.
Yeah.
But,
it's important to remember that victory that she got back at Tampa Bay Downs. Remember, that was the race that was supposed to be kind of the match between her and Herlaff.
Yeah.
La Cara and Herlaff. And Herlaff, if you remember, threw her head at the start and broke dead last. And she was the other predominant speed. La Cara got out and just loped along in the front end and took him gate to wire, and there was never any pressure. And the Ashland was kind of the same thing, where she just kind of was alone up on the front end. Well, she's not going to be alone up on the front end. And again, 6-1, I remember saying this as we were on mute, but we were listening to the draw and the post position draw. And when they said 6-1 on La Cara, I said, well, there's your Kentucky bias. Because if La Cara ran that last race in Florida, there's no way in heck she's 6-1. But
really
she ran it down the road in Lexington. Oh, well, she must be really great. She won the Ashland.
It's true.
Okay, so we give her 6-1.
It's a grade 1, and that's why, she's coming in here with a lot of weight. And also, if that race was just a little bit longer, Take Charge Milady would have caught her in a second.
Yeah.
She was really... she ran really well that day. I think she ran the better race, in my opinion, even though La Cara won.
Yeah.
But, I guess that's another thing to mention. Take Charge Milady, the reason I'm not really even bringing her up, otherwise she'd be a huge main player for me, is because, she has that abscess, and it's going to be a day before, a day of decision. It's just not looking great for her.
It's hard.
Just
for people who don't know, she's got a little bit of an abscess on her one foot. And, Kenny McPeak is trying to obviously draw out some of the infection, draw out some of the dirt that's in there, using Epsom salts and things like that. And so it's just a tough spot. And it's an injury that comes and goes very quickly. And it doesn't really, it's not something that lingers, but it just is terrible timing for them to happen right now, because she was kind of looking like a little bit of a wise guy pick in this race based upon how well she closed in that Ashland into La Cara, stretching out now a little bit more. And, if she does run 12-1, it's not a bad choice, but I think you and I both think there's a chance she doesn't run.
Yeah, definitely. And even if it does clear up by the weekend, I'm pretty sure that it cleared up the last time she had it before the fantasy, if I'm not mistaken. And he still didn't
scratch her out of the race.
Of course. He's great. Even if she is ready, he's going to wait and, keep her the right way, because she's a really nice horse. And, she skipped the Oaks, and I'm sure she'll do some big things after that.
Well, he even said she crossed into the Black Eyed Susan. So if she misses this, then she'll just go to Pimlico and run in the kind of the second leg, if you will, of the Phillies Triple Crown. But listen, let's not bury the lead. You and I both are betting against Good Cheer in this race. Yeah. And we're both using the same horse to do it. We both landed on this independently. We didn't collaborate. And that is the number 14 Quietside at 8-1, which I'll be honest, if you get anywhere near 8-1 on this horse, I would bet with 2 fists. Because this horse is much more deserving than an 8-1 third choice.
I completely agree. I was really shocked to see the 8-1. Let me just say right now, like I said, Good Cheer is going to be on my pick 5 tickets, but the way I'm playing the race, I'm betting Quietside to win all day. I'm going to put a lot of money on that. Probably the most I'll bet all weekend on that filly. I think that she's really come into her own. She's improved a ton. Last out, she got the best figure she's ever got. She won the fantasy. In her last 2, also she had Jose Ortiz aboard for the first time ever, and that I think made a big difference. And she found, her match with him very much so. Yeah. And I think that she's coming into this in really good form, and she has every right to take another step up. And like I said, I think that she drew really well, and she can sit right off of, whoever's up front with the lead. And in my opinion, I think it's probably going to be 5G, and maybe
La Cara will be up there for sure. Yeah.
So but I see Quietside sitting right off of them and getting the perfect trip.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I think the rider change to Jose Ortiz certainly made a big difference. We had the opportunity to speak with Johnny Ortiz, the trainer. He had nothing but positive things to say about her. She's been working beautifully. She looks fantastic leading into this race. So there's a lot to like there. And when I saw that 8-1 morning line, my eyes almost popped out of my head, because I thought, well, that's the play right there. Remember last year, Torpedo Anna came out of the fantasy and came out of that Arkansas circuit, and then went on to win the Kentucky Oaks. So we've seen that Arkansas circuit produce a lot of good runners over the years. Good Cheer coming out of the Fairground circuit, another hotbed, honestly, for really, we saw Pretty Mischievous a couple of years ago come out of that same circuit. So really that southern circuit of Fairgrounds in Arkansas is usually where I look for these Oaks fillies. And again, 6-5 on Good Cheer. I just can't take that short of a price on a horse where I think there's some legitimate questions. I do wonder if she's got another level to her. And I think Quietside at 8-1 just presents such good value. And yeah, Jose Ortiz making the change there, I just think made all the difference in the world. And you could tell he was happy about her when he was interviewed earlier today. He even said it's the only time he smiled during the interview was when they brought up Quietside.
Yeah, he seemed pretty confident in her. And I mean, not like I was always super confident in her going into this, so long as she drew well. I mean, she's just been constantly improving, and she will be trying a 1 1/8 for the first time, but her pedigree is just immaculate for this. Obviously sired by Malibu Moon.
Yeah.
You see she's from the last crop of Malibu Moon, so pretty special. And also you see a lot of the Derby horses. I mean, a lot of the broodmare sires are Malibu Moon. So you think about it, and also just her deep pedigree goes, it's really well. And I think that she's, going to run well, stretching out to the 1 1/8 distance. And I
think
actually prefer her even physically compared to a lot of the others here for the distance. I mean, Good Cheer is a really nice filly, like we said, but I think this is a perfect opportunity, and Quietside, in my opinion, has just as big of a chance as Good Cheer.
Well, let's talk about a couple of other fillies, because I think we've hit the kind of top 3 contenders pretty well. But let's talk about a horse that you and I both think is going to move up significantly over a wet track, which is the number 13, Bless the Broken for Will Walden. I don't think you get 30-1 on this horse. This is a horse that's been proven over a wet track, has run really well over that, going back to that sloppy seal track in the Silver Bullet Day, making up ground on Lone Speed on Simply Joking that day. And then last time out wins that Bourbonnette Oaks over the synthetic track at Turfway Park and finished third in the Rachel Alexandra, admittedly 7 lengths behind Good Cheer. But again, I think a wet track kind of equalizes things. Johnny Velasquez up on the mount for the second time, remains aboard after riding her in the Bourbonnette Oaks. I just think 30-1 is a generous price on this horse, who I think, like I said, will appreciate the slop.
30-1 is a huge price on her. Like, we know she's going to love the slop. Like you said, in the Silver Bullet Day, she ran really well in the slop. And also last time out in the Bourbonnette, first time Johnny V was aboard. Yeah. That's also another thing. She got a big rider upgrade. I mean, and I think that they fit well. This filly has been training so well. I was shocked to see 30-1. I think, she's definitely going in my supers and probably maybe even my tries, depending on the weather. But I mean, even without, she doesn't need the range. I think she's going to run well. And I think when you're making the argument for someone like her, you have to kind of look at, the pace and how this is going to play out. And I think that there's a lot of horses that are going to want to be forwardly placed. Obviously, Simply Joking, we talked about. Fondly's another one
she's fast.
That's probably going to try to go a little bit. Drexel Hill as well, if I'm not mistaken, has a bit of speed, as well as La Cara, 5G. Temma's pretty quick. I mean, she could sit more so a tracking trip or mid-pack, but there's a lot in here that have speed, and of course, Quietside to the outside. So when you think about it, even though I'm playing Quietside on top and probably Good Cheer with right when I go under that, I'm going to be looking at closers. And that's how I landed on, Bless the Broken to put into that slot. But there's definitely a couple of others in here, like Quick Kick, Ballerina Dioro, as well as Bless the Broken, that are going to be, picking up pieces late. I
also wanted to share a couple of little nuggets. I love a good tidbit. I love a good factoid. Over the last 12 years since they've instituted the point system, only 2 morning line and post time favorites have won the Kentucky Oaks, which is kind of unbelievable, which is Untappable and Malathat. That's pretty good company to be in. And Good Cheer is looking to become only the 3rd in 13 years. Now, the more amazing thing is only 6 of those favorites in the last 12 runnings even hit the trifecta, which is really stunning. And it goes to the point of take a shot with a little bit of a bomb, because these horses that are 20-1, 30-1 routinely run up into the trifecta. So, when I see people say, I'm going to go, Quietside and Good Cheer and La Cara, I go, it never comes up that chalky. There's always a big price that falls into it. Now, one horse that you and I disagree on vehemently, maybe not vehemently. Okay, maybe I overstated things, but we disagree, is Tenma. Coming in from the West Coast, she is the only West Coast turf horse for Bob Baffert. She really was looking like a major contender going into her final round of prep, and that Santa Anita Oaks just completely turned me off But you dove into the tape. You really looked at her a lot more, and you like her a little bit more than I do.
Yeah, I like her definitely a little bit more than you do. And I think you brought up a really good point, too, about playing this race in terms of the chalk, just to start there. Not to go back. I mean, I think a great play would be, 14/13, Quietside over Bless the Broken. If you're trying to take a swing, I mean, that's the way to go. When I'm sitting down and I'm going to bet this race, that's probably the way that I'm going to end up playing it. And I'll have my picks exact later this week. But Tenma for sure, I mean, is a bit of a wild card. This is her first time ever leaving her backyard. She's looked good on the track at Churchill. I think she's moving well over that track. Last time out, the Santa Anita Oaks, I mean, it looked like she was running in quicksand. The track was deep that day. But I thought that when I saw the way she was moving, and then I heard Baffert say it, and he's been pretty, I know, you don't really trust a word that comes out clearly with
any of these trainers.
Exactly. And I like him, but also that brings me to my next point. I mean, this is his only entry in the Oaks. And I think that honestly, they've been managing her probably just the right way. I kind of like that she wasn't all out last time. Before that, she was really serious. She got a 92 when she lost Virginess. I mean, that's higher than
a lot of that's the highest figure in the field, actually.
And she was, chasing behind Lone Speed that day, and that was a 3-horse field. And she's always put up against these stable mates for a test to see if this one can do this and that. And I'm just looking forward. Listen, I don't know if I'm going to put her in my top 4 when I'm playing this, but I'm looking forward to seeing what she can do when she faces an actual field of horses, has some pace in the race. I'm excited to see what she can do because she's a bit of a wild card. She hasn't faced a large field, and she might actually be able to improve a little bit.
She could. It depends the sort of trip that they want to send with her. If they want to be aggressive and put her up in the lead, because at times she's looked keen to want to get to the front. And so again, would be pressing with 5G and La Cara there. Other times, she can sit off the pace a little bit, run out of target. She looked awful leg weary in that Santa Anita Oaks. I worry about that. But obviously, like you said, the track was deep that day. Baffert made a point to, say that, and not just for his race, but even for the Santa Anita Derby, where journalism won. But, it's just, that's one where, just like with Good Cheer, though, she's not faced a lot of competition. And so it is a little bit of a wild card in terms of how she's going to do in a bigger field. And she could move forward. She could move backwards. But listen, at 12-1, you're getting better odds to find out than Good Cheer at 6-5.
Yeah, definitely.
I get it. If you want to take a little bit of a swing with a horse like Tenma and go, hey, maybe she runs back to that Lost Virginess form. And if she does, well, then she's one of your top 2 or 3 contenders in this race, and you're getting a double-digit price on her. So definitely an interesting horse there. Another horse that I think you and I were impressed by in person was early on for Saffie Joseph Jr. This is a big long shot, 30-1. And we had the opportunity. This one was at Keeneland when we were there, and we went back into the barns. We got a chance to talk to Saffie a little bit. And when he brought her out, I thought, man, there's a horse that's got a big hind end, quite frankly. I mean, that horse is built.
She definitely wants every inch of ground. And I think that she's, going to run really well here, in my opinion. She's another big long shot. I mean, we're going to do a long shot video and touch on her a bit. I don't know if I'm going to put her, in the top 4 I have on, but do I think that she's a smart one to throw in if you're taking shots with some supers and throwing in some bombs? I consider her in that way. She's one that's been able to either, last time out, she was pretty forwardly placed. The time before that, she came and made up a lot of ground from way out of it.
And on speed favoring track at Colonial Downs that day.
Exactly, on speed favoring track. So I think that she's a really interesting one. I mean, from the one hole, they're probably going to try to sit off of a couple. I don't think that, obviously, she's not, just because she was up front last time. That also wasn't a fast pace that day whatsoever. So they were also surprised. They were also surprised as well that she was so forwardly placed. She's going to be like a come from, mid-pack or come from behind type that's going to be making up ground.
Well, that's even kind of what Saffie said. He goes, listen, if she can sit mid-pack, that would be ideal. He goes, she's not fast enough to get up to the front with this group, but we also don't want her closing from all the way in the back because she's not that dynamic necessarily. She's more of a grinder. And he even said the target's kind of the grade 1 Alabama. Like the idea of going 1.25 miles is really appealing to him with her because he thinks the longer she goes, the better she gets. I can absolutely see that with her body type too. I mean, she's a big, powerful horse. And so I completely understand that. But if there is a little bit of pace in this race, which I think you and I both think there are, a lot of horses are going to be backing up.
Yeah.
She's going to keep getting stronger as the race goes on. So again, you talk about horses that can pick up pieces, run into something. She fits the bill of a horse that could run up into a super, run up into a try potentially.
Definitely. And last time out in the Gazelle, it was 1 1/8 miles, and she did not stop running.
No, she didn't stop running.
That's something that really sticks out. The race before, she came from way behind and on a speed favoring track, and then the next start she runs up on the lead. I mean, the whole time for 1 1/8 miles she never stopped. Ballerina really looked like she should have passed her like 5 times before she actually did. And when she did, I mean, it was barely. So I mean, she's definitely an interesting one to throw into some supers. In my opinion, she might run even better than that.
She might.
You have to form an opinion. I mean, I think that she has some improving to do.
Yes.
I think that there are a few here that are way stronger than her in that way. Like I would honestly, but if you're looking at her and Bless the Broken, they're both 30-1. I mean, I would pick between the two of who you see making up some ground, maybe based on the weather. Or
a couple of other horses just to mention in passing. Obviously, Simply Joking is a horse that's 10-1. And this is a horse that is one of the top 4 choices. So I feel like we should talk a little bit about this Whit Beckman horse who finished second to Quietside. You talk about, again, not quitting in that fantasy. Quietside got past, but, really Simply Joking was up there on the front end and kept on pretty well. And I don't necessarily love the Practical Joke influence up top going that long. But this is second back from a little bit of a freshening. The horse won the Silver Bullet Day in gate to wire fashion, did win her debut race, which was actually a stakes race going 6 furlongs coming from off the pace. So she can do that. She's done nothing but get faster, 84, 87, 90. She's been working well for Whit leading up to this race. Florent Giroux now hops aboard, taking over for Jamie Torres. I don't know, again, if she gets sucked up into that early pace dynamic, I just don't know about whether she can hang on, go on 1 1/8 miles, knowing that there's all that other speed in the race and knowing what Quietside was able to track her down last time when she had a much easier lead.
Yeah, I mean, her only win came at a mile, I think, right?
Well, then,
on the lead,
a mile and 70.
And then she stretched out to 1 mile and a 16th, and then that's when Quietside caught her, and Quietside did that very easily. And I don't see her ever getting this distance.
I think that is the big question with her.
It's a toss for me.
But I know some people absolutely love her. There's a lot of people whose opinions I tend to value who are really big on Simply Joking. So she's another one like Tenma where I think opinions really diverge. I'm probably warmer on her than you are, and I'm colder on Tenma than you are. And so, but that's, hey, like you said, you got to form opinions in a race like this. Those are 2 horses, Simply Joking, lower level super, maybe, staying on there.
Maybe if a few don't break.
Right, you never know.
Easily, I mean, but it
would
riders
change tactics.
It would take a couple for them to not break. And
I
don't like the idea of switching tactics. Again, just, looking at the practical.
Oh, but I'm saying if a couple of others switch tactics, maybe suddenly she finds herself only up with one other horse and, then something. So Fondly is a very lightly raced horse for Grand Motion. Won that Virginia Oaks, held off early on. Again, that speed figure came back very light from that race. She's a little bit of a smaller filly. She's one that, I remember your opinion of her kind of improved the second day you got to see her on the track a little bit. But again, still very lightly raced. This will only be her 3rd career start. I mean, Graham is a great horseman, but that's going to be asking a lot for her to take a big step forward to really compete for win honors, maybe something underneath, but win honors, I think that would be a big ask.
Yeah, definitely. Win honors is a big ask for her. I mean, this is only going to be her 3rd career start. I did put her in my top 5 for the Oaks after the news of Take Charge Milady. I, found a 5th horse. I view, her and Tenma are the wild cards in here for me. I don't know if I don't think I'm playing with either of them in my tries or any of that. Maybe a little deeper I'll use them, but those are the 2 wild cards in here for me. Fondly and Tenma, maybe even more so Fondly, because she's been improving quickly. She's a half to antiquarian that's been able to stretch out and do that also early on in his career. I mean, he won the Peter Pan in his 4th career start, if I'm not mistaken. So she clearly has the pedigree to handle it, and she's someone that they moved up to that Virginia Oaks when they saw how good she was first time out, and she ran well that day. That was only her second start, so she could improve here, and the figure was a little light for that. I mean, but
she could move forward. And listen, Graham's not one to rush his horses into spots where he doesn't think they can run. The fact that they went maiden special weight to the Virginia Oaks was aggressive. You and I both loved her that day, and she ended up winning. And she, again, now moving up to here. Another horse coming off an interesting layoff is Drexel Hill. That's a horse we actually got to see up in New York, but didn't run in that final round of preps. Won the Busanda and hasn't really been seen since. So, again, that's a little bbit of an unusual tactic to use that you've not had this horse running recently. It's been several weeks now, almost 2 months, in fact, since this horse ran. So that's one that I don't know what to necessarily expect. And I also question how good the competition has been that she's run against. So a little bit more of a toss there for me. And the very final horse that we'll mention, because we talked about 5G a little bit, you and I both like that horse. And maybe that's the one if there's anything else you wanted to add about 5G for George Weaver. But she shows a lot of guts. I got to say that about her, and I find myself rooting for her as a daughter of Vekoma.
She does, and I took back what I said last time out when I saw her up on the lead. I was like, maybe she can stretch out a little bit. I don't know. I never like the Vekoma stretching out. I mean, I just don't like it. But with her, under the right conditions, I mean, she drew pretty well. She drew to the outside of La Cara and Simply Joking. And that's why La Cara and Simply Joking aren't ones that I'm going to be playing with, because they have this horse to their outside that I believe is just as fast and has, the advantage to their outside. So in my opinion, I think she might be a little bit more dangerous than those other two speeds. And she's interesting in that way to me.
Yeah. And double the price of La Cara, certainly at 12-1. And the final horse that I just want to bring up, because I would feel like we always forget about her, and I feel like this was even true last time, was Anna's Promise, the number 12 horse. And this is a horse at 30-1 on the morning line, and coming off of a second place finish in that Gulfstream Park Oaks. And, has kind of shown a lot of improvement, was running it against maiden claiming company and maiden optional claiming company not all that long ago. Carlos David takes over. Junior Alvarado up on the mount, rode her 3 races back. Last 2, Louis Saez has been up. But, one against Allowance Company basically down at Gulfstream Park, and then really ran, I thought, a good second place effort against 5G in that Gulfstream Park Oaks. She's another one who's got decent early speed as well, and could be trying to sit that tracking trip as well.
Yeah, she's interesting. I know she's one that you have a bit of interest in as like a bit of a long shot type of angle. I mean, she could improve as well. She's not one that I'm looking at as heavily as the others, but I think she could be a bit of a pace presence in the race.
She could be. It depends where Junior wants to put her. I think that's going to be a big that break is going to matter so much in this race, and just as it does in the Kentucky Derby. But it's a great field. And listen,
what do you also make of? I mean, one to bring up is one that we didn't even really expect to be in the Oaks in the first place is Quick Kick. This filly, she was coming off a bit of a layoff in her last 2 starts. I remember I took a bit of a stab with her underneath or something in the Honeybee because I thought, she could improve as a 3-year-old after that effort that we saw in the Breeders' Cup last year. But I mean, I really don't know what to make of her. I know that she's going to be coming late. She has a different jockey up now who's good, for getting them to.
He's good bringing horses off the pace. He's better on the turf. But I mean, Umberto Rispoli is the jockey now, taking over for Tyler Gaffleone. And I don't, for me, she's a toss. There's not been progression at all, really. And she seems like she's kind of, the figure she ran last time out's the figure she ran in her maiden breaker, which at 2 years old. She just kind of runs that, mid to high 70s and has never shown the propensity to get any better than that. And she's really not gotten close to some of this competition that she's run against. And this is a prime example of a filly who's run against a lot of other competition. She's run against, Quietside. She's run against 5G. She's run against some of these other horses. She's never proven to be anywhere near as good as them. So I just have a hard time thinking that today's going to be the day. I mean, listen, Tom Amos won on Serengeti Epirus at a big price a few years ago. So could absolutely shock, but it would be a shock to me to see Quick Kick even really run up into the trifecta.
Yeah, to improve that much. I mean, she would have to improve what, like 12, 13
she'd have to
points?
improve,
more than that, because they're all going to probably, a lot of them are going to improve here. I mean, the last one that I do really want to talk about, I think we've talked about a lot of horses here and said, positives about a lot of them. And I definitely know I'm using Quietside on top and probably going to use, big price underneath like Bless the Broken. Good Cheer is going to be on all my pick fives. Those are really my main points here. But I will say a filly that might end up in my super at the end of the day, even though I really did not like her after her last effort, is Ballerina d'Oro. I think that she's really caught my eye, actually, the way that she's been moving over the Churchill track. She has issues with her lead. Last time out, I mean, it was really obvious. She was lugging in horribly, but I think that she was tired, and I don't think that has anything to do with her ability to get the distance. It's the fact that she was sitting so much closer last time out than she ever was in the Gazelle. Granted, I know that she won and she got there, but she was really, not looking like she was about to. She was lugging in horribly, but she was also sitting, just a length off the leader that day.
She was,
But then in the Demoiselle, she was sitting almost, 5 lengths off. And I think, she, ran the best race of her life that day. She was never meant really to sit that close, but she kind of had to last time out because there wasn't much speed in the race. So obviously that was their intention with her, to get her involved in the race. But I think here she's going to get more pace than she ever has. And I think that she is a bit interesting in a try or a super.
Yeah. That's another horse that we differ on. She had every opportunity to go by. I mean, at the top of the stretch, I thought she was going to beat early on by 5 lengths.
Yeah, but I think,
and then like you said, she struggled with lugging in. She struggled with switching leads. But even once she switched leads, you thought, okay, now she's going to really go past. And it was a combination maybe of early on just being a tougher customer than we give her credit for, and Ballerina d'Oro not really taking the initiative and just, again, beat her by a nose basically that day. When even once she switched leads, I thought, okay, now she's going to win by a length.
I do think it's because she was sitting closer than she ever has. And she had no pace to close into whatsoever, but also it was the lugging in. And I think that, it took a lot of effort to get her to switch that lead. And by then she was also tired, even when she was on the right lead. So who knows, maybe if she has some more pace, just think that she could be interesting as maybe one of the late runners. But I know we really like Bless the Broken, especially at that big price.
We do. And listen, Ballerina d'Oro was a horse that was kind of intended for the turf initially for Chad Brown, and actually ran in the Jessamine at Keeneland, and then came back. Chad said she had trained so well over the dirt that she earned a chance to run in that race, and ran second to Mohima, goes down to Gulfstream Park and finishes third in the Devona Dale. But that race came back strong as La Cara ends up winning the Ashland next time out. And then, like you said, last time out, just battles against early on. Flavian Pratt now takes over the mount for Dylan Davis, which is a huge jockey upgrade. No offense to Dylan, but just, Flavian Pratt's the best in the business, or one of them. So, there's definitely something there. Definitely from a pedigree standpoint, Medaglia d'Oro over a Tappet mare. So plenty of distance is going to be there. And you're right, she's going to get a bigger field and more pace to run at. And could be a little bit dangerous running underneath. Now I'm talking myself into her, and my ticket's going to get expanded. But all right, listen, that's going to do it for our preview of the Kentucky Oaks. We're both going Quietside. I really think early on's got a chance to be a little bit surprising. I think Bless the Broken, we both think is a horse that is going to move up if it's a wet track. The big takeaway here is trying to beat Good Cheer. She's a really good filly. She's done nothing wrong. But again, historically, only 2 of the last 12 favorites have actually won this race in the Kentucky Oaks. Only 6 of the 12 have managed to hit the top 3. So there's some historical precedence for playing against the favorite in this spot. And I think Good Cheer, despite having never lost a race, is going to be facing some new dynamics on Saturday or Friday, I should say, that she's never faced before.
Definitely. And her and Quietside ran the last out, the same figure. There's really no true edge besides the fact that she's undefeated and she looks to be a really nice filly, and maybe she gets really good. But from a betting perspective, how are you going to take her at that short price when Quietside sitting right there on the outside, about to sit a great trip? And I think Quietside's going to I think she might romp the Oaks, in my opinion, or at least I'm really hoping. But that's my bet.
Listen, it's going to be a lot of fun. A couple of years ago, the Oaks was probably one of my biggest wins. A couple of years ago, I had the exacta Pretty Mischievous over Gambling Girl.
Oh wow!
And oh wow, that was my reaction too. I was like, oh wow, I'm set for a while. All right, that's good. So that was my better day. So listen, we'll see. And there's a lot of great racing on Oaks Day. Got a little horse named Torpedo Anna running.
Yeah.
And La Troyenne.
Yeah.
That's going to be a lot of fun. Yes. I'm playing against her. This could be stay tuned for that when we do Capping the Card, because there could be punches thrown, mostly by you at me. But no, that's going to be a lot of fun. Fierceness and Locked are going to be facing each other in the Ali Shiva. Yeah. That one too. I don't, Fierceness, he might finish up the track. But anyway, I just like to joke around with the commish. Listen, it's going to be a lot of fun, but make sure to press that like button and subscribe to NYRA Bets YouTube today. Remember to use the Derby code, or the code Derby25. If signing up with NYRA Bets, you get $200 deposit match bonus and a free $25 deposited immediately for you to wager in any way you would like. All right. Well, listen, Kaylie, we're going to sign off for now, but we're going to be back with a lot of other content. We got long shot videos for the Derby and the Oaks. We got Capping the Card for Oaks Day, all 13 races we're going to go through. Capping the Card for Derby Day, all 14 races. Going to have a lot of content for you up here on the NYRA Bets YouTube channel. For Kaylie Shapiro, my name is Matthew DeSantis. Wishing you a great and prosperous day at the races, and reminding you, friends, it's now post time.